Hello, and welcome to the Department of Fire Services 2020 Employee Recognition Event. Throughout my time here at DFS, I've had the opportunity to be inspired by all of you and the hard work that you do. And this is our opportunity to say thank you and to recognize those people who have received recognition by the Commonwealth for performance recognition as part of that program, and also for all of our members for all their hard work. This is also our opportunity to thank you for your length of service. So we'll be recognizing members of our team who have reached milestones in 5-year increments for their lengths of service with the department. That inspiration that I receive from you every day is really significant this year, as 2020 was an unusual year to say the least. The department faces many challenges in our mission to support fire services across Massachusetts, to be leaders in the areas that we serve the fire service in, like training, support through special operations, hazardous materials, and to make sure that our fire code is in good shape and available for use by municipalities across the Commonwealth. Every one of you contributes to that. Our department has an unusual makeup, much different than many other state agencies, by virtue of the fact that we have our full-time employees complemented and working side by side with our contractors. And our recognition is across the board. As you know, we're now expanding to 3 sites across the Commonwealth for our facilities-based programs. And our team has done a great job to accomplish what we have accomplished to this point. But with the pandemic, we saw so many different challenges, so many new areas that required us to go to work to complete our mission. And each and every one of you stepped up to transition to remote work, but still service our customers, both internal and external. Stepped up to change our programs and to operate in ways that we never imagined we would, but that enabled us to complete our mission. Stepped up to take on special tasks like testing for COVID and support of the EOPS family mission as well. So I just want to say again, thank you. Thank you to everyone who made 2020 such a great year for this department, such a great year for this Commonwealth as we stepped up and reacted and responded and took on the challenge of the pandemic on top of our regular work. To start off, I want to recognize those people that were recognized as part of our performance recognition program from the Commonwealth. I'm going to read off a little bit of information about the program that I think you're all familiar with, but the Commonwealth process is for full-time employees who have been with DFS for at least 2 years. An employee may be nominated by their supervisor, peers, professional colleagues, or others that are familiar with your work. In particular, they put emphasis on attainment of high priority of agency objectives, exceptional managerial, organizational, and/or communications achievements, exemplary leadership, achievement of significant improvements in productivity and/or savings in agency operations. For our department, we are limited in the number of awards that will be given, and our agency this year was allowed 3 awards. Since we rely heavily on our contractor staff, we provide our own awards in recognition of contract employees. This year, as has historically been the case, we had a selection committee within the department to make those recommendations to the state level. And that committee consisted of Bill Ashton, Barbara Callanan, Vicki Jaguar, and Mary Travers. I know they had hard choices to make, and I appreciate their effort and support of this program and of our department. Great work. On Thursday, January 28, 2001, the Human Resources Division hosted a virtual ceremony to recognize the 2020 Performance Recognition Program Award recipients, and it was viewed by over 500 individuals. Much like our desire to come together, I know they did and do hope to bring people together for this celebration of excellence in support of the Commonwealth's mission, and we look forward to that. But for this year, we have to join them in a virtual recognition of our recipients and recognizing our length of service awards. In addition, because these awards are very much intertwined, I'm going to recognize the PRP recipients and the contractors awards at the same time, because they are really part and parcel together. The first recipient we recognize is Dennis Ball from the Mass Fire Academy. And as part of our own recognition, we also have included the following Fire Academy recruit coordinators for this award: Jack Gelinas, Brian Whitney, Jim Haggerty, Rick Goddard, Mark Cogswell, Robert Escott, Sean White, Michael Moriarty, Peter Jerusik, Dave Ryan, Bob Foley, and Chris Rizza. With a good number of the MFA staff working remotely, Dennis Ball and his coordinators stepped up and created a fully virtual training with practical learning components for outside training in order for us to continue our recruit training program during the pandemic operations. These changes required input and adaptation to the programs for our 3 sites, Bridgewater, Springfield, and Stowe, and combine them into one virtual class and then breaking down into their respective sites for the practical training. Career Recruit is also overlapping so that we have 6 class sessions running simultaneously under this new matrix. In addition, we have to consider the additional training of Call Vol, and this team put together an excellent response to that and enabled us to be able to train recruits throughout this pandemic period. Congratulations to all of those recipients. 2020 presented so many challenges, not the least of which was challenges for public safety in the area of COVID testing and vaccination. Vaccination came later on, but through the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, COVID testing sites to service public safety personnel were launched in 2 locations here in Massachusetts, one in Foxborough and one in West Springfield. EOPS tapped DFS as a key player in that mission, in that effort to make sure that we were taking care of our public safety personnel in Massachusetts. Our public safety COVID testing site and dedicated call center came to fruition very early in 2020 and serviced those 2 locations by taking and making registrations and reservations for testing, as well as making sure that we safely operated those sites with support from the department. Julie Bergeron, Joanne Caruso, Kathleen Ruderman, Vicky Jaguar, Barbara Callanan, Christina Rodriguez, Justine Potter, Samantha Turco, Megan Caceres, Christine Dancero, Heather Antel, Daryl Dion, Susan Mondi Sykes, Karina Sr., Susan Nees, Christine Sullivan, Kerry Ween, Abby Baker, Loretta Anderson, Alana Malatos, all under the careful direction of Deputy Fournier, came together to establish and operate the registration center, a call center that ran daily, remotely, that required call handling technique, registration, knowledge and acumen, and careful coordination with the testing sites in order to service those people who are accessing testing. In addition, Dave DiGregorio and Tim Gallagher from Hazmat spent countless hours making sure that the hazmat techs that were assigned and the special operations team that supported those test sites were carefully coordinated and well handled. The following staff also participated, but did not have 2 years of service at the time of the nomination. However, we still wish to recognize them: Allison Lamar, Jeffrey Ortiz, Michael Harris, Kyla McKenzie, and Zach Denny. DFS staff was involved in setting up and staffing those centers, as well as taking care of those important calls that came in. And they really went above and beyond in order to meet the needs of so many of our public safety personnel here in the Commonwealth. Congratulations on your recognition. It's well deserved. And we say thank you. An additional team of DFS contract employees received an award for 2020 as well. Larry Hodgdon, Richard Mamone, and Patrick Ripley. All three nominees have been able to field countless telephone calls and email requests for information regarding the state fire code during the entire pandemic operational period. Despite working from home 100% of the time, and in the absence of having access to the hundreds of documents and books that are found in their office, these individuals have been able to provide exceptional customer service that has not been affected by the current events. Calls and emails were promptly returned, and numerous compliments were received from fire departments, the regulated community, and citizens of the Commonwealth, detailing their pleasure with the reaction from these individuals. Additionally, their ability to address the needs of the callers has resulted in a great weight lifted from the compliance officers who have been faced with a myriad of new challenges. As you can see, we're fortunate to have terrific teammates who know their jobs, who know the subject matter, and who have adapted so well to these difficult circumstances, just like they do every day for the department. Congratulations to them on their awards. Now I'm going to turn it over to the division leadership to recognize those people for their length of service awards. I'm really awestruck to hear about 45-year department members like Fran King and Rick Goddard. It really speaks volumes to our organization that people stay with us for such lengthy periods of time. We'll recognize folks throughout the department who have reached those 5-year milestones. And whether you're here for 5 years or 45 years, we thank you for your contribution. We thank you for your effort and your commitment to our Commonwealth Fire Service and to our organization's success. From the Executive Office, we're pleased to recognize for 15 years of service, Sheila Ramondi. For 15 years of service, Kerry Ween. And for 10 years of service, Justine Potter.
In a couple minutes, you'll hear from our division directors recognizing our coworkers for their years of service. I'd like to take a moment to recognize two of the division directors for their years of service. David DiGregorio, Director of Hazardous Materials Response, and Paul Vigno, Director of the Fire Safety Division. While they're going to recognize years of service, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the divisions for everything that they did over the past year. The Hazardous Materials Response Division, while still maintaining their normal readiness, coordinated 2 state-operated COVID testing sites and coordinated the initial testing at the Department of Corrections locations across the state. Special operations supported those sites with ISUs, rehabs, and generators. Those missions were over a month. Our Fire Academy instructors and staff for implementing curriculum changes that allowed us to operate through a pandemic and instituted our first virtual learning. Fire Safety Division and Boiler Pressure Vessel directors, engineers, and compliance officers, all reviewing and supporting best practices in dealing with temporary structures. Our Fire Standard Compliance Cigarette Program Coordinator, Tim Moore, working with MEMA in supporting temporary shelter operations for the pandemic across the state. And to this day, members of the CRIB supporting MEMA warehouse operations and deliveries to communities all over Massachusetts. Thank you all for everything that you've done, and I hope we'll be able to have this event in person next year. Stay safe.
And I have two long-term contractor employees that I'd like to recognize today. The first being Fran King. Fran began at DFS in 1974. He has held multiple contractor positions, which include instructor, engineering, and print shop. Fran started in the old print shop prior to the renovation and the pre-digital era. The print shop was the heart and soul of the academy as they were relied upon heavily. Post-renovation to current, Fran works in the warehouse print shop area, supporting shipping, receiving, printing, and mail-related duties. Fran was a full-time Maynard firefighter, retiring in 2007 after a 47-year career. Fran is a steadfast contributor to this agency and recognized for his 47 years of service and counting. Second individual I'd like to recognize is Stan Clement. Stan started with MFA in 1982 as a crib support staff member. After a short stint in the crib room, senior staff at the academy realized Stan had a background in repair and maintenance of vehicles. Stan has been in the vehicle maintenance department ever since. Stan began his career in the fire service after leaving the military in 1971 when a neighbor told him about an alarm dispatch position with the Marlborough Fire Department. Sometime in 1972, Stan had a conversation with the chief and hit it off, which began his career. From 1972 to 1977, Stan was also a call firefighter in Marlborough, and in 1977 joined the department full-time. Stan has a daughter, Christy, who followed in his footsteps as a Marlborough firefighter and a print shop contract employee here at DFS. Stan is recognized for his 40 years of dedication and contribution to DFS and the fire service community. The next group of individuals I'd like to recognize have 15 years of service with the department. Kaz Costa, Brian Harrington, Robert Horn, Jeremy Janiskevitz, Billy Morrissey, and Randy Quarles. The next group of individuals have 10 years with the department. That would be Joseph Dupree and Megan Henser. And then the next group of individuals have 5 years of service. Craig Alden Burns, Eric Byam, Christopher Geary, Gregory Jackson, Rob Magdaleno, Russell Place, and Joseph Siegel. So on behalf of the Academy and DFS, I wish to thank each and every one of them personally for their dedication and service.
I'm here today to acknowledge two of my longtime staff members, Sherry O'Clair, who's been here for 25 years, and Karen Benoit, who's been at DFS for 15 years. Sherry is one of our really unsung heroes in fiscal. She pays all of the agency's bills. She is the only accounts payable person we have dedicated to paying the bills. She also resolves discrepancies with vendors. She keeps their banking information up to date, and she really puts in a lot of hours and is really a master of her trade. So thank you, Sherry, for keeping us up to date with our payments and out of collections. We certainly appreciate all of your hard work. The other employee who has reached a milestone this year is Karen Benoit, who's been with us for 15 years. Karen is the accounting supervisor. She oversees all of the payment activity. She oversees budgeting activity. She oversees revenue, and she also oversees all of our grants and inter-service agreements with other agencies. So she is spread pretty thin with all of our finance activity. Curran is an asset to the agency. She is a tremendous team player. She has just adapted and changed her processes so that we are still meeting our state financial responsibility. So certainly I appreciate and acknowledge all of her efforts. So great job. Thank you. And to all of my staff, we had to transition on a dime all of our processes, which were so paper-based, to email and electronic files. And my staff just really adapted really quickly. We are keeping up to date. We are keeping all of the procurement and purchasing activities up to date. So it's really, it's been remarkable how my staff has just come up with solutions to problems that a year ago we never knew existed. And I just thank all of them for their dedication and hard work for all of this year and for all of their cumulative years. We have some that have been there quite a long time, and I personally appreciate your efforts, and I know that the agency does as well. Thank you.
I'm here today to recognize 3 employees who have been here for a long period of time. First, I'd like to start with Scott Fahey, who was in the unit for 20 years. He did an outstanding job in the bomb squad. He is now working in C Troop, back in the patrol, but he is missed up here, and the effort that he has put up here will not be forgotten. He was a great asset to the program, and congratulations on 20 years, Scott. Dave Fleming, I started this job in 2014 with Dave. We got hired on the same day. I left for a couple of years. He stayed here. He's been an outstanding member of the Central team, and hopefully he'll be here for many more years to come. Thanks for all the hard work you've done, Dave, and the fire investigations that you've set forth and accomplished. Lastly, I'd like to thank Captain Zipper, rather. He was here for 32 years, back when the dinosaurs were roaming the streets of Stowe. He did a fantastic job. I have some big shoes to fill. He's a mentor to me, and every time I need to call him, he's there. He answers the phone. He'll be missed tremendously. I hope he enjoys the time he's spending with his grandchildren now. Thank you.
And I'm here to recognize a couple of my employees who've been here for quite a few years. And I'm going to start with Larry Hodgdon. Larry's been here for 20 years and just recently retired, and I want to congratulate him on that. But more importantly, Larry put in a full service with the Cambridge Fire Department before joining us on the code compliance desk and has been a godsend for the fire prevention community throughout the Commonwealth. I want to congratulate him for his 20 years of service here at DFS and wish him well in retirement. I have a couple other employees that have been here for a little bit of time. Dave Demarco has been here for 20 years as well. As many of you know, he does double duty, not only with the SAFE program in my division, but also with MFA. Dave is a full-time member of the Belmont Fire Department, but also is a SAFE coordinator within my shop working on Pub Ed. So I want to congratulate him on 20 years and for helping keep our citizens and children in the Commonwealth safe. I have 2 other employees that are receiving tenure awards. That would be John Arugio and John Wood. They've each been here for quite a bit of time, taken on different roles, both in the cigarette compliance program, the underground storage tank, but they're now full-time compliance officers within the division. So thank you to everybody, and congratulations.
And first thing I wanted to thank Dave Curran. Dave Curran's been here for 40 years, so he gets his 40-year award. He started as a call firefighter with Concord in 1976. Started working for the Academy in 1978. And he became a full-time firefighter and is now a captain with the Concord Fire Department. He's also still an instructor with the Massachusetts Firefighter Academy, and he's a contractor for the Hazardous Materials Division. And he is currently the vehicle maintenance service contractor here with us. And I can't say enough about Dave. Anything having to do with the vehicles, he makes sure that we keep running on a daily basis with 22 vehicles in the fleet. Again, I can't say enough about David. Also wanted to mention David Taylor for Special Operations with 20 years. George Andrews, 10 years, Special Operations. Richard Cummings, 10 years, Special Operations. Brendan Mikache, 10 years, Special Operations. Timothy Reed, 10 years, Special Operations. Joe Carroll, or Jody Carroll, is 5 years, Special Operations. And Cameron Dunbar, 5 years with Special Operations. I want to thank all of you. Again, I'm new to the Special Operations Division. I was put under as one big division in the last couple of years. I'm getting to know these guys and women, and they are phenomenal. I mean, anything we ask of them, they're there. Thank you all.
I'd like to first of all say thank you to all of the staff at the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy. As many of us know, it's been a very difficult and trying year. First of all, the pandemic and the effects it's had on all of us, and then the limitations and restrictions placed upon us in order to carry out our assignments. And then on top of that, having to change the way we deliver our programs to meet the needs of the firefighters out there. I truly believe that when we look back upon this time, we're going to see that we had a very successful year, despite all the limitations and problems that we had to encounter. And that certainly is in part due to the individuals that we're here to honor today, the instructors and the staff that make up the core of the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy. I'd like to start off by reading the names of our employees who now have been with us for 5 years. The younger ones in the crowd, the ones that we will soon be turning the reins over to lead the way. Those individuals are Joel Abreu, Andrew Barcelo, Justin Brigham, Patrick Burke, Michael Cadell, Thomas Colucci, Kenneth Case, Timothy Casey, Robert Connor, Matthew Korcher, Michael Crane, Joseph D. Pasquale, Richard D. Benedetto, and Dennis Foley, Daniel Gagney, and David Gallagher, Daniel Gold, and Benjamin Graham, Thomas Graham, and Peter Grant, Michael Green, and Sean Guilfoy, Marlene Herman, Andrew Haladik, Paul Jerusik, and his brother Peter Jerusik, James Kaufman, Brad Quatcher, Christos Lekaditis, and Jackson Lowbridge, Andrew Mocht, Jeffrey Martin, Stephen Norris, Kevin McDonald, Patrick McLaughlin, Patrick McManus, Jason McEnany, Thomas Messer, and his brother William Messer, Joseph Nanigian, and Brian Nadelli, Robert Pensivi, and Lucas Perry, Jesse Phelps, Paul Pierce, Eric Ridge, Robert Rogowski, Kenneth Sagendorf, Sarah Sensosio, Ray Schofield, Christopher Shute, Walter Sikora, Daniel Souza, Richard Stefanowitz, Natalie Stolmeyer, Douglas Wade, and Michael Haslam. Thank you all. We also have a full-time employee who has hit the 5-year mark, and she certainly works tirelessly behind the scenes and also is a fellow reformer firefighter, and that is Susan Mondi Sykes. Thank you all. Moving to a bit more of a senior group, the 10-year individuals. Those are Dean Babineau, Kevin Maloney, Veronica Maude, and Paul Sheehan. After that, we come to yet another senior group, those who have spent 15 years here with us at the Academy. Andrew Bean, Charles Cloutier, Jason Cox, Kevin Galligan, Jason Govro, Brian Gover, Sean Green, and Ian McGregor, Jason Messenger, and William Rolfe, Thomas Ruthier, John Spillane, and Ken Finson. Then we come to another category, the 20-year mark. Some of our senior instructors. Those individuals are Michael Gelinas, Greg Normandin, Stephen Oberg, Christopher Risser, and Sean White. And now, certainly, a senior key group, the 25-year individuals. James Klitsch, Paul LaRochelle, Robert Youngren, and Antonio Marfangelli. We have a group of individuals who have been with us now for 30 years, and they've certainly taken on lead roles for us. First one is Richie Cerullo, who spends his time, for the most part, in staff services, working directly on special assignments and keeping our office moving, certainly through a very trying year. Next is Brian Duggan, longtime instructor who's been an assistant coordinator in certification, certainly working behind the scenes trying to get all of our standards and exams up to snuff. Another 30-year member, longtime instructor for technical rescue and certainly career recruit, serving as an officer of the day quite often, Richie Hartman. We have Chuck Lambert, former coordinator, longtime instructor, and certainly such a great help to us in certification. Tom Pillabosian, another longtime instructor, also a valuable member of the certification team. And then finally, Bob Zalewski for 30 years, certainly a subject matter expert in his craft and has his materials. We have one individual who now has met the 40-year mark, Dean Melanson. Longtime instructor in many programs, but as of late, a stalwart in such a difficult program to deliver, fire prevention officer. So thank you, Dean. And then finally, we have an individual who has been with us for 45 years, Richard Goddard. Rick has been a longtime instructor, longtime certification examiner, and many of us probably remember his latest role as assistant coordinator for the career recruit program. Rick's specialty, certainly in my opinion, is working with the individual students, and in particular, those who seem to struggle in the educational side of it. I've seen Rick work more than one miracle, taking in a student who truly is failing, working one-on-one with the individual to see them turn around and be successful in our program. And there's no doubt about it, there are many firefighters across the Commonwealth who owe their jobs to Mr. Goddard. And on a personal note, Rick, I certainly want to thank you for the advice and the guidance you've provided me over the years. For all of you, thank you so much. On behalf of the interim director of the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy, Deputy State Fire Marshal Maribel Fournier, I'd like to thank you for your dedication, your professionalism, and your commitment to the firefighters of the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, division directors, for helping me and all of our team recognize so many important individuals to our organization. To all of you, thank you for your service. I look forward to us coming back together at our respective work locations, hopefully in the near future, and thank you for a very successful 2020.